I think I'm beginning to understand why even Araka seemed a little shaken up after you came back from that place later, right? So, do you think that these crystals might in some way be connected to the Magium? Yes, it's the only explanation I can think of that would make sense, I say. Those fingers had been removed from existence. There was no sign of an injury from Gontok's hand. You saw how Loirang and the illusionist reacted when they were asked about it. Neither of them remembered that he even had 5 fingers to begin with. But a lot of us still remembered them. Layla writes, the two of us did, and so did Gontok and even Aiden. Do you think this means the crystals failed to erase the fingers properly from everyone's mind for some reason? No, my theory is that everyone in the world who knew about those fingers had forgotten about them, and there were exceptions, I say. For Gontok, it might have been too difficult to erase the notions of his fingers from his mind because he had too many memories of them ever since his birth, and removing all those memories would have been resulted in his mind deteriorating beyond the point of recovery. In Aiden's case, I think he might be connected to the Magium somehow because these crystals were clearly reacting to his presence. That would also explain why he seems so unfazed after seeing Gontok's fingers disappear, because it was probably something that he had already witnessed a few times in the past. What about us? Layla writes. In our case, I think it might have been because we both have Laseti blood in our veins, I say. There was the experiment that Araka was conducting while we were in the Magium territory that I didn't really pay much attention to at the time, but I think it might help explain what is happening. When we were spectating Kate's ritual in the Beacon of Hope, Araka kept trying to get the attention of some of the Laseti that were in charge of the patronage. When she did eventually manage to get one of them to react to what she was doing, despite her being in a completely different dimension, she concluded that all in the Seti must have some sort of natural affinity to Magium, that this is part of the reason why many of them are so good at making these devices that require you to understand magic at a very complex level. I think it also helps due to the natural affinity to the Magium, that we were still able to remember the existence of Gontok's fingers. If you were to ask any of our friends about them now, I doubt any of them would be able to even imagine Gontok's hand that ever had 5 fingers on the left. That is kind of scary to think about. Lila writes, just the thought of us having experienced a completely different reality from our friends despite being right there at their side the whole time is enough to give me goosebumps all over my skin. Right now we're only talking about 2 fingers of someone's hand, but I can't even begin to imagine how it would have felt trying to convince Kate or Darren of your existence if Magium had actually succeeded in making you disappear. Oh right, because only she would remember, and they would completely forget that we existed. If Magium actually succeeded in making you disappear, I might have begun to even doubt my own memories of you if I were to become the very last person in this world to remember that you even existed. You're right, I say, I haven't even considered that. Well, I guess now I have an extra reason for not wanting to be trapped in that void again. What you describe right now is something that I would really not want to put you through. Right? Not myself put myself through that. Thank you, Layla writes. If there is any way I can help, please tell me. I wouldn't want to let you worry about these crystals all by myself. Well, I say, it's not like I'm really doing much right now, other than being anxious, but I suppose it would help if you kept a lookout for the crystals on the left side. Well, look at the ones on the right. If you notice any of them reacting strangely, give me a sign. We'll try to distance ourselves from them as quickly as possible. I don't think there is much else that we can do right now except being extremely vigilant, hoping for the best. Alright, Layla writes, I'll do that. Thanks, I say. By the way, how's the headache? It's better than it was before, Layla writes. It isn't completely gone, but it's definitely not as bad as it was in the beginning. At this rate, the pain might actually disappear by the time we reach the tower. That's good to hear, I say. I'm sorry that I couldn't be of any help with that after you went out of your way to make my headache go away. It's not a problem, Layla writes. Like I said, I'm used to this kind of stuff anyway. I think the wall on the left is clear. If I remember correctly, the next corridor should have fewer crystals in it, so we likely won't need to be on our guard as much as we are now. Let's go. After passing through a few more tunnels, we finally arrive at the secret door that was used to get into the tower when we were here previously, and as Aiden promised, the door has been left open. Do you think we should close the door behind us, Layla writes, as we are entering the hidden tunnel? I'm not sure, I say. If we close it, then the illusionist likely won't be able to follow us anymore, but we also won't be able to retreat into the tunnel if something goes horribly wrong. I think Luna has had to direct some of her magical energy into the wall to open it when we were here the last time. Neither of us can do that. We only need to touch the wall once to close it, though at that, so that it's something that can do at least. But so that is something we can do at least. Let me think about it for a second. If we leave it open, Loirang and the illusionist will follow us. If we close it, only the illusionist will follow us, right? Because the illusionist will probably be better at this like sensing thing than Loirang, so he will probably figure it out, then he will open it, go in, and then close it, because he's probably following us, not Loirang. So I think we'll leave it open. But even if we leave it open, wouldn't the illusionist just go through and close it again? Man, but then again, I don't think we necessarily have to retreat back. But the illusionist could set up some shit. Man, this is such a fucky situation. I'll leave the door open, even though I kind of want to close it. I think I'd rather leave it open for now. I'd say we don't know what will happen inside the tower. I prefer if it didn't close off our only escape route in case things take a turn for the worse. Or else let's leave it open for now, later eyes. I nod to her, and then we begin to climb up the stairs leading to the basement below, the Ceridium Towers. Once we reach the top of the stairs, we go through the second door that had been left open by Aiden, and we enter the same closet room full of buckets and wet rags that we stumbled into during our previous visit to the tower. As we are now heading into the room full of people chained up to the ceiling, I cannot help but feel the same shiver down my spine as I felt the last time I was here. Despite knowing exactly what was waiting for us, I don't get a lot of time to think about this, however, because almost as soon as we exit the closet, we hear the voices of Aiden and the King of the Ollander coming from the voice magnifier tied to the transceiver that is placed on the upper corner of the room, which, if I remember correctly, is the device that Billy Bob was using there to make announcements to the prisoner. Creator, please understand that I had no intention of going against your wishes, the King Ollander says, just that you said you were away on important business and you gave us no way to contact you. So there was no chance for me to discuss my plans with you. I would never have even imagined that you would object to the destruction of the crystal-filled underground corridors. And yet it is clearly stated by the third golden rule that the blue crystals are not to be tampered with, Aiden says. These golden rules have existed ever since Varathia was first founded 600 years ago, and they have been passed down from generation to generation ever since. Surely you must have heard of them. Yes, but these rules you speak of, they are relics of the past, are they not? The king asks confused. That archaic regulation from an age when humans and animals still used to live together in harmony. Those times are long gone. I thought you would have agreed to this as well. So you were aware of these rules, but still decided to ignore them, Aiden says. Tell me, King of Ollander, has it not crossed your mind that there was a reason why the Fox and I considered these archaic regulations important enough to build an entire civilization around them? Did you really think you could simply ignore the golden rules, that there would be no consequences, no punishment for your actions? Punishment, the king says, suddenly scared. Creator, please, I can explain. No, I think you have already explained enough, Aiden says. It is time for you to reap what you have sown. Oh, so because these crystals are connected to the Magium, Aiden probably made like a rule, and the Fox made a rule that not to touch these caverns, like in an attacking format. But it seems that's what he did, so he might just be dead. After a few seconds, we begin to hear the desperate sounds of the king trying to gasp for air while he is likely being strangled by one of Aiden's aura manipulation technique. There is no use trying to call your royal guards or what's left of them. Aiden says, I've temporarily nullified your device's effects so that it can't teleport them anywhere. You are on your own. After a few more moments of choking sounds, we hear the king beginning to cough violently, suggesting that Aiden might have loosened his grip on him in order to hear what he has to say. You, the king says as he's slowly regaining his voice, just for some blue rocks, you would do something like this? How dare you? Just some blue rocks, Aiden says. My dear king, you cannot even begin to comprehend what effects your actions from earlier today will have on the continent, on the entire world around us. Your being strangled nearly to death is something so insignificant that it simply pales in comparison to the ramifications of your actions today. So where was Aiden then? I thought he was hanging around in town, so he should have known when they were attacked. I suppose Aiden was just off somewhere, and then when he felt like the crystals were attacked, he was like, okay, gotta head over there, see what's happening.